Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the latter half of January. So I'm going to start with my most recent read, and that is The Factory by Antonio Melonio. This is a short story. It's literally only like 68 pages or something like that. Basically about people working in a factory and realizing that people are profiting off of their terrible living conditions, and basically they start a revolution, get tricked into just joining up with the bad guys and leaving their friends to rot, but then they don't fall for it and all this other stuff. So it made several good points about collective suffering of people and how nothing should be done for, the good of the few people at the top, all of that. It totally makes sense. However, this book is so short and it is so riddled with symbolism that it was really hard to get into. So like, for instance, the main character, whose name we never learn, it's all in first person. He is one of the few people who goes to talk to the people at the top, and he gets there and they're all wearing crowns and they all look ethereal and all of that, and I'm like, what am I reading? Like this, there was like no actual world building to this. It was all symbolic, and so to that extent I thought that it really could have been better. The Isle in the Silver Sea. So this is about a knight and a witch who are reincarnated throughout time, and they have to basically kill each other in each life. Something weird like that. I don't feel like it was necessarily explained why, like what the purpose of this was. Oh, and they're both women and they fall in love and it's really awesome. However, I felt like this book stayed right here. There was no ups and downs to the conflict. There was no storytelling or character depth. It was very much a hey, we're supposed to kill each other but we don't want to, and it was just kind of like, all right. Wild Reverence. So I just said in my best books of the year video that Rebecca Ross's books are always really good. However, I think I spoke too soon because this one was not. This one was a total letdown. Not that it wasn't good, objectively, not that the writing wasn't good. It's just that this book was so painfully boring. I wanted to DNF it so many times. The only reason that I kept reading it was because I really like Rebecca Ross. I've loved all of her books until this one. So I kept reading this one just hoping that it would get good. And really the only thing good about it was the writing. The Deep by Rivers Solomon. This is about a population of mermaid people who are basically the descendants of the people who got thrown off of slave ships and drowned, or jumped off of slave ships and drowned, basically. So this was a really interesting concept, and I really thought it was unique. However, I felt like I wanted more out of this. Basically, the plot of this story is just that the mermaid people basically have a dedicated person who remembers all of their history from this perspective of all the people who lived it, and basically every so often gives those memories to the other people so that they don't forget about it, but then they give it back to her. So she didn't want it back because it's too painful and runs away, and it's just a very odd plot. I wasn't entirely sure what this book was trying to do, and it was also really short, so I felt like it could have just been more. And finally, my favorite book of this wrap-up, A Vow Made Twice. This is a historical romance between three people. So basically this earl, or yeah, he's an earl, this earl guy has to marry somebody. So he basically just finds a woman who needs to also get married and has this marriage of convenience, but she's actually really rad and he actually does fall in love with her, and she's actually also a non-binary or gender fluid person, but without that that understanding of what that is in that time period. There's no like representation for that, but basically she sometimes prefers to be a guy, sometimes prefers to be a woman, but normally she says she usually feels like she wants to be neither, like a third thing. So she's either like non-binary or gender fluid. So the Earl guy who has to marry this person actually gets attacked on the road by a hitman, and the hitman turns out to be his long lost lover who he thought was dead. So basically he has this guy from his past and then this woman he's marrying, or this person he's marrying, and he falls in love with both of them, and they actually all fall in love with each other. They basically form a like throuple. And I knew that I figured going into this, I was really excited to see a poly romance, but I was not expecting it to be a throuple, and it was so random, but the characters all worked so well together and it was so good. And the plot was really high stakes in that there's literally murder attempts and everything, while still not deviating too much from it being a like cute story, lighthearted romance, all of that. So it was really good. I really, really liked it. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the latter half of January. Let me know if you have any thoughts on any of these, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!